I'm Nicole, here with Father Tim, our pastor, and Father Michael, our parochial vicar. Together, we're diving into your questions about Catholicism life and everything in between.
Whether you're a lifelong Catholic or just curious, this is a place for honest questions, relatable stories, and hopefully a laugh or two along the way.
So grab your coffee or keep both hands on the wheel, settle in, and let's tackle today's questions. Welcome to The Truth Unplugged.
Nicole.
Welcome to The Truth Unplugged. We're glad you're tuning in.
Hey, so we are not recording this when you're listening to this, but Easter has just happened.
Happy Easter. It's Easter time.
Having a grand old time
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Having a great
Easter
time.
at St. Clair.
Thank the Lord, Lent is over. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. It is my dear friend and coworker,
Whom you respect so highly.
There's so much respect oozes from her with the respect she has for me.
Oh, my
the one
gosh.
and only Susan Baker.
Yay.
Welcome, Susan.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Susan.
Very excited to
Wait,
be here.
Let me just...
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
we love that
I dig
you're
that.
here.
Yeah.
So, Susan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
God, I always hate doing this
Tell
stuff
us, first of
'cause-
all, what you do here at the parish.
So I am
exactly
the
do
youth
you do
minister,
here?
and I sit and edit Wikipedia pages all day. No, I'm the youth minister, so I have 6th through 12th grade, and then the sacrament of confirmation, which is coming up, and I love it. I've been doing it going on 19 years now.
Susan,
Yeah.
thanks for being here.
Thank you.
What's your favorite part about being our youth minister?
Yeah, there's like a couple different things. I think the biggest thing is the kids here are just like they're on fire for their faith. And I know that sounds kind of cheesy and like a textbook answer, but they really are. Like you offer stuff and they show up. And you keep thinking they're not going to.
They wanted to have a spontaneous retreat.
Yeah.
right? I mean,
the mini
that was
retreat day.
kind of brought up by them. They were like, we want to do a retreat day.
They
Like,
wanted to have a second
what
youth group
teenage-
night a week.
Yeah, what teenage kids want to do that?
They don't. And when I did the retreat, I was like, oh, we'll have like maybe 10 or 12 kids. And we had almost
30 plus, right?
35
Yeah.
kids show up
Wow.
for that voluntarily.
Those kids are awesome.
So,
I got
yeah.
to spend the weekend with Susan and the kids up
right.
at Hidden Lake, and I immediately was like, got to keep Susan as a friend.
Oh,
But also the teens
thanks.
here are so fun.
Yeah, it's good.
So
How's that been going for you, keeping her as a friend?
Good. We got coffee
Up until
yesterday.
very recently.
Yeah.
Father Tim and Father Michael are making fun of me because
No. We're just...
Is there something I need to know as her friend right now?
I
Do I need to be worried?
No.
I don't know.
I'm still your friend.
I
And she
love
won't
being
edit this part out
humiliated
either.
on air. I can't because
See,
part
I've
of
gotten
it.
really good
Yeah.
at like figuring out how to keep a bit in where you can't edit it.
Anyway, it's Easter week.
We're having so much fun. We're all exhausted from Holy Week.
Yep.
It's a tough time of year for you guys. You're just going and going and going.
But we cheated this year. We called in Father Gorov to preach at the Triduum, so it kind of, made things easy.
Hopefully everybody got
Yeah.
something out of that.
Yeah.
He's a super smart guy, very holy guy, and he's a good preacher. So
I think I already know the answer to this, but what's your favorite mass from Holy Thursday to Easter?
oh my gosh.
I mean, it's really one mass from Holy Thursday to Saturday.
That's right. We did talk about that
Yeah,
last week.
right. Like there's no final blessing, and then on Good Friday you enter and leave in silence, and then on Holy Saturday you enter in the dark and silence, and then there's a final blessing at the end of that mass. So you can't really like break it up. My favorite mass though is the last mass on Easter Sunday.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
San Luis
it's over?
Hispanos.
it is finished.
Resucitó. So for me, and I, for several years now, it has really been being able to really focus on the Holy Thursday Mass, a Mass for Lord's Supper, especially sort of developing over the years a deeper understanding of the mystery and the unity, the essential unity between the institution of the priesthood and the institution of the Eucharist, and how that really is the bedrock of the church's corpus, her body in this world, right? Which is Christ's body, and how Christ's body flows out of the institution of the priesthood, and the priesthood doesn't make any sense without the Eucharist. So I just find that beautiful. The prayers are gorgeous. It's the first joyful solemnity that we have after this long period of Lent. So we've got the Gloria. I mean, we ruin it a little bit for ourselves as priests because we in the diocese because we have our Chrism Mass on Tuesday instead of Thursday. It makes sense to do it that way for us, but it kind of ruins the effect a little bit because we have this huge, like, glorious Gloria at the cathedral on Tuesday of Lent, and it's like, but otherwise, yeah, Thursday.
I would have thought it was the vigil, but that shows what I know about you. So today we are going to be discussing organ donation, which is interesting.
Yeah,
Because
so
we
the
only
organ
hasn't been paid off.
Yeah, we
yet,
only have
so
a 3 manual organ. So
anybody who wants to.
first of all, that's not true. The organ is paid for.
Oh,
but
the
it's
organ is paid. Well, we're still collecting.
It's
We're
only
still
a 3
collecting
manual
for the
organ. Mr. Vince would love to have a 5 manual organ, and pipes would be great. So
The point is, we're looking for donations for the organ.
yeah.
You guys are ridiculous. But this is, if you didn't know, you're listening and you didn't know, this is our last regular season episode without eating hot wings.
We should talk about, before we talk about donating organs,
Yeah,
we should talk about how we're going to ruin our organs next week.
Yeah, they wouldn't be suitable for donation.
not for a while, anyways.
Originally, we were going to film our season finale during Holy Week because I don't know why. We just got it into
Because
our
Nicole
heads.
doesn't know how a calendar works.
It's true.
Or numbers.
Math is not my strong suit. But Father Michael comes to me and he says, Nicole, I am deeply concerned about our pastor's health going into Holy Thursday, having consumed 10 very spicy wings. And I looked at him and I was like, there's literally like, you're being a little soft. Like, what? There's no issue here. But whatever, we can reschedule it. And
What
then,
happened in your life, Nicole, that caused you to change your mind?
Yesterday, I said to Adrian, I should practice for this episode.
It's like stretching before you work out. You're
Right.
going to practice wings.
So what kind of sauce did you eat? Like Tabasco?
No, this is a black truffle hot sauce.
That sounds good.
And I'll have to link it because it is generally really good. But I was like, I'll just dose my chicken in it and I'll eat it. And it's maybe like two or 3 tablespoons of this stuff that I consumed. And then I was out for the rest of the day. The rest of the day, I had to take medicine. I was popping Tums. And
Guys,
I said,
we are going to have medical professionals here next Wednesday when we are recording this season finale. And the AED and maybe an ambulance on standby.
I can't wait because I'm going to relish so much in the fact that you're in more pain than I am.
It's not,
You are going to be so bright red, too.
shut up.
I hope the camera picks that up.
So anyway, we just wanted to have a little fun with our friends.
Haven't you given birth to 2 children?
Yes, I have.
This is going to be worse.
That doesn't really affect your stomach, like the
doesn't-
organ of your stomach.
Did the baby come out of your
And
stomach?
speaking of organs,
It's a good segue.
Bringing it back around.
let's jump into our question here. So somebody asked, what is the Catholic Church's teaching on organ donation or donating body to science after death? What about items that extend life, like a feeding tube or ventilator? And I would love to hear.
Those are kind of 2 different questions. But,
Yeah, they're kind of 2. So
the
let's do
important thing
first
is
one.
that we have to recognize the dignity of the human body, right? Because Jesus took on a body, and so therefore our body is sacred. And after death, the body needs to be treated with utmost respect and dignity. That's why we bury bodies, so that we can have them for the resurrection. What the church teaches about organ donation is that it is permissible, provided you're not like taking somebody's still beating heart and like killing them, and donating your body to science. Again, usually when you donate your body to science, they're generally very they treat it with a lot of respect and dignity. So it's permitted, provided that then afterwards you'd be kind of put back together so that you can be buried.
It's always interred. Like, that's respect during and then internment afterwards. And then, of course, if you're donating organs, which is a noble and a good thing, they're going to be living anyways, in somebody else who's still living because you were able to do that. We had a parishioner not too long ago who finally succumbed to years of illness, and she saved 4 people's lives.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was only being kept alive by the equipment. So they were going to take her off the equipment, allow her to die, and then remove her organs. And they were able to get 4 viable organs for 4 different people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and speaking of equipment, that goes to the feeding tube and ventilator. The church says that there are, ordinary means and extraordinary means of keeping people alive. Ordinary means can never be denied. Extraordinary means can be denied. But a feeding tube is ordinary means because you need to eat.
As long as the body is processing the food.
Right.
So hydration, the body never stops receiving hydration. So an IV with hydration is always something that you can't say, okay, well, they wouldn't live without this hydration. So we'll remove it and let them die. No, that would be killing them because they can't do that on their own, but their body still needs it and wants it. Food, on the other hand, is something that through a feeding tube, a body may stop using. And if the body stops using it, removing the feeding tube when a body does not want it, or if it becomes overly burdensome for a person could deny ordinary means of sustenance. If it is overly burdensome within the context of I'm dying, and so they can say, you know what, I'm going to stop taking this medicine. Just like with a cancer patient, if the chemo's too bad or something, they can say, I'm going to stop taking this, and I'm going to spend the next 3 months instead of the next 9 months with a better quality of life with my family. So just to augment Father Tim's, or to add to Father Tim's correct assessment there, that ordinary means can't be denied if they are useful.
Okay.
Right.
I heard growing up that Catholics shouldn't put organ donor on their driver's license.
You
Is
can.
that true?
When I first got my driver's license, I had organ donor on it because my parents did, and they said that's a good thing to do. But then when I was in seminary and we were in some of our moral theology classes, some of the kind of dark sides of the medical system were kind of revealed, and there are some doctors that might, be like, well, he's mostly dead. So, different from all dead, which if he's all dead, the only thing you can do is search his pockets for loose change.
Honestly, I think if I was that mostly dead, I would want the doctor to go ahead and just let me die and use my organs for somebody else. Don't try to. At that point, man, if you are vacillating between should we try to save this guy or donate his organs, donate my organs.
If they work.
Yeah, if they
If they
mine
work
might
at
all
that
be
point.
mushed up.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
probably-
when I die, I'd be fine like donating my brain.
you think
nobody would
you
want
think
that,
science wants
though.
your brain?
Oh yeah. I mean, how could they not?
So I became an organ donor simply because I saw like this movie of a person who got buried alive, and that just like terrifies me. So like when I die, I want to make sure I'm dead before they put me in the ground. So like go ahead and take the organs out. That way
like-
I'm like done.
Like
Oh.
like a pharaoh. Like take out all my organs,
Take
put them
them
in
out.
jars.
You
I
want to be a
mean-
mummy, is what you want.
Well, yeah.
But you know how
Yeah.
often mummies come back?
Yeah, but
It's pretty regularly.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you
Every
want to
week.
stay,
If I
you
get to
want to
chase
stay
somebody like
dead, you
Brendan
definitely
Fraser,
don't want
I'm
to be a
okay
mummy.
with it. If I get to chase somebody like Brendan Fraser, I'm good with being a mummy.
Okay,
Completely fine with it.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Okay,
I'm so sorry.
We're
So sorry.
not talking about who has the
Youth
hots for Brendan
minister.
Fraser.
Before youth ministry, though, you were a 911 dispatcher, weren't you?
was.
So
was.
does that
Really?
Yeah.
influence this at all?
It does, yeah. It absolutely does. It was always horrible not horrible, but yeah, no, it was horrible calling in Life Flight, and then you get the updates on people and who made and didn't, and so yeah, it absolutely has an impact of like if I can do something, I'm not using them anymore.
I've always thought that among the first responder community that certainly the 911 dispatch team gets the least attention and care.
Right.
But I think in some ways they have it the hardest.
Yeah.
The stress is not about one's personal safety. The stress is about the impotence of not being able to help somebody
Right.
who is in serious distress on the other end of the line that you're talking to. That is some serious mental stress.
You also get like as soon as the phone answers, you're escalated. It's high. You're intense. It's going. And then the responders get there and you hang up. You get no like time. It doesn't escalate and then slow down. It's instant and then it ends. And it absolutely weighs on you. And sometimes the officers are really good about coming back and letting you know the outcome of certain things. But a lot of times you didn't know, and that sits with you too.
Yeah.
You have somebody calling in a crisis and you don't have a resolution of what happened. So yeah, it was a lot, and it definitely had an impact on me, which is why I'm glad I got out of it eventually.
How often do people butt dial 911?
Oh my gosh, all the time. My favorite story though is this guy called because the cable was out. And I was
called
like,
911?
He called 911.
Yeah.
No, it gets better. And so I was like, they know it's out. They're working on it. And he's like, well, Cops is on. Okay. He goes, well, can I come down there and watch you? And I was like, tell you what, call 911 again for this and you could be on the show. And then hung up on him. I was like, are you kidding me? Call
Bad boys. What you gonna do?
Because Cops was, yeah. So, yeah, you get it all the time. And we always send an officer out just in case. But I heard some interesting conversations just listening to somebody that dialed 911.
I had officers. I was at home at my parents' house. I think this was while I was in the seminary. At home at my parents' house. My dad wasn't there for whatever reason. It was just my mom and me in the house. And it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. And apparently somebody in the area had dropped a 911 call. And the closest address that they had to that was my mom's house. And so at like 3 o'clock in the morning, there's just pounding on the door. And
Jeez.
so, of course, I strap up.
You're ready to go.
Pie in the corner, going around the edge there. I get to the front door, and I'm like, "Who's there?" And they're like, "It's the police." I said, "Put a light on you so I can see you, because I'm not coming to the door." They put a flashlight on themselves.
Right.
I said, "Okay, look, I'm armed. I'm going to put it down. I'm going to come to the door. I'm going to open it, and we'll go from there." But I wanted to make it very clear what was going on.
Exactly. Communicate with them.
But it's crazy, it's like the dangers when people SWAT people. They call them because you don't know what's going on, and you see the police officers as invaders when you didn't call them. So
Well, and it's a waste of resources. That was the other frustrating thing with 911 is you're
tying
getting
up an
all these
operator.
phone calls coming in, and you don't always have officers and people to send to these sites, and this person's freaking out. Send somebody, and you're like, I don't have anybody to send. So doing stuff like that aggravates me on a whole nother level because you're taking resources away. So
How long were you a dispatcher?
3 years.
You made it 3 years.
I made it 3 years. I have a tendency to stay in jobs that have short spans, stay in them longer than the expiration
that's called
date.
resilience,
Yeah.
resiliency,
Because I
and
think
endurance.
for 911, I think it was like 9 months, and I did that for 3 in youth ministries, 18 months, and I'm going on 19. So yeah,
19
either that or
years,
I don't
not
know.
months.
18 months for
Yeah.
an average youth minister.
And
I'm
you've
doing
been
19
in it
years.
19 years,
Yeah.
not 19 months.
I just don't know when to leave. That's my problem. I'm just stubborn and comfortable.
Little,
I'm good.
Little pro tip: if you call 911 from the church, immediately say that you're in Cobb County, because a Paulding County Tower might pick it up.
Oh,
when you're in the
interesting.
wrong.
Oh, thanks, Father Tim.
That's a good tip.
Just-
That's
It's
a
a
good
great
tip to
tip.
know.
We'll have to call 911 now. I think we answered the working question, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a pretty simple question.
No final thoughts.
Yeah. So, final thought though.
Of course you have a final thought.
And it's going to take 25 minutes.
No, there's
Should I
a
get
there's
comfortable?
there's a lot to this. Okay, right. So a lot of times people hear the phrase extraordinary means, right? But the church has kind of moved away from this idea of extraordinary means because of how complex and good our medical system has got, and they've moved to a sense. I used the term earlier of burdensomeness. So as long as the treatment is working and it's necessary, you should keep doing it. If the treatment is not working, even if it's a necessary thing, it can be removed. And then something that is super extraordinary, like a ventilator, you can always take somebody off a ventilator. You do not need to breathe for them in order to keep them alive morally, right? So
Thanks, Father. We're gonna do quick Q&A, or as I should start calling it. I will definitely call it this next season. Not so rapid answers, question and answers. All right, first question: Do Father Tim's
do
face
you
right
have
now.
the time?
Do you think aliens are real?
No, but if they are, they're just demons.
Oh, that's such an interesting thought.
Pretty simple.
Demons?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a hot take.
Why?
I would agree.
You
with you.
also think?
No,
Like
no,
an actual
no. I
physical
don't. I have a
manifestation?
very different answer.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I mean, some extraterrestrial
you think
thing.
demons live in space?
some outside thing communicating with us that's not God.
Father Michael, what's your answer?
Well, I don't think that just because something might live outside of this atmosphere versus inside this atmosphere, trying to communicate with us, like a bird or a dog, makes them a demon. I mean, birds and dogs try to communicate with us, and we don't think they're demons, right? They're not God. And
Have you met a chihuahua?
just because
Great.
Things are possessed.
just because something's trying to communicate with us that isn't inside this atmosphere doesn't automatically, in my
Frank the
opinion,
cat
make it a
tries to
demon.
communicate with you all the time.
Frank
He's not
the
a
cat,
demon.
Frank the cat is the worst communicator on the planet, which is why it never shuts up, because he never gets his point across. Which I keep trying to tell you is just the poor thing is hungry, man. Feed it.
He's on a diet. And it's working.
Anyway, what do you
So-
think about aliens?
So back to the alien question. I don't think it matters really one way or the other. I like the idea that there's like more life, not necessarily intelligent life or rational life, but life in this universe that God made. And if there is, it doesn't actually threaten Christianity in the least. It doesn't threaten our faith. God remains God of the universe. Jesus Christ is King of the universe. And just because we're the only creatures that we're stupid enough to disobey him and fall and need a redeemer doesn't mean that and some other creature somewhere else needs Jesus a redeemer. Everything we say about Jesus vis-a-vis humanity remains the same whether or not aliens exist or don't.
But if the aliens fell, would they need Jesus?
I would imagine so, but we'd have to ask them.
Just picture like a
What
little
about
ET.
you, Susan? What do you think
Yeah.
about the aliens?
I think if they're real, they're jerks.
Because they haven't shown.
Yeah, they can travel through space. They've got
How do you know,
insane
though, that-
technology. I'm just saying, if they are real, they've got all this technology, and all they're doing is kidnapping people and poking and prodding them, and then dropping them back off with a crazy story. How jerkish is that?
Or just blowing up stuff like in Battleship. That's a great movie, by
That's
the
a
way.
good movie.
Battleship.
I'm
When
a big.
the Mighty Mo destroys the aliens. It's
I
They're
awesome.
just
think-
jerks. But years ago, didn't somebody, I don't know, somebody said something from the Vatican that to say that aliens aren't real, you could potentially be limiting God's ability to create.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's interesting. I think that's probably true, and that's kind
Yeah.
of where I come across with my opinion. That and C.S. Lewis, who actually writes about this. He has a trilogy of his fiction called the
Space Trilogy.
Space Trilogy. Yeah, and it's really bad. Given like modern imagination of space travel and everything, and what extraterrestrials and things look like. But for the time, it was cutting edge science fiction. But he actually really spoke very clearly and articulately, and formed my own opinion on whether or not aliens, if they exist, it doesn't threaten anything
Right.
at all. So
I don't think aliens are real. I don't think they're rational. But
'Cause you
if
have no
they
imagination.
were, they would be like animals and not have
It would be
souls.
irrational.
Yeah.
we could enslave them.
But how would they?
I think they would just be like cells that live on other planets. I just feel like maybe God made
Like an
space.
amoeba?
Yeah, like an amoeba.
So you
like
don't think those
a
aliens aren't the ones
fish.
visiting us?
We're
I
visiting
don't think.
them.
I think people do drugs. That's what I think happens, and then
What?
they come up with UFOs.
Yeah, you
sightings.
ever wonder why it's always in a cow field that these things
They
happen?
do.
Where do you find shrooms?
And it's like the person that everybody in the city is like,
There's cow pies.
Yeah, he's
and cow
crazy.
like they're not
Exactly.
shocked. Like when some of these people come forward with this UFO story, nobody is shocked that it's that dude telling the story.
Exactly.
Like that's a
I-
course for him. Yeah, it's the same.
A little map just went viral of where the most UFO sightings happen.
Oh my God.
And do you know that it's mainly the United States or
Not
other
surprised.
high drug areas in
Not
the world?
shocked.
So,
Not Amsterdam?
yeah, that's a.
They have clean drugs.
That's right. Yeah.
Clean drugs.
All right. That's our answer. Okay. Next question. Why do you make it a priority to have kneelers at communion?
Good question.
So that people have the opportunity to kneel if they choose. It's an act of humility. It's an act of reverence. Used to be the norm, right? You had the altar rail, and people would kneel to receive communion. And then we stopped doing that all of a sudden, even though the Second Vatican Council didn't say that we needed to stop doing that. And then we talk about how, oh no, we need to do Eucharistic revival because people don't believe in the real presence. I remember one time my mom, she was a preschool director at a Methodist church, and we had to go on Sunday to their thing because she was, I don't know, she was getting an award or something. And I was like, Mom, they have a communion rail here. She said, yeah. I said, they don't believe in transubstantiation, do they?
They
No.
don't have communion, but they have a communion rail.
no.
We have communion. We don't have a communion
And
rail.
I said, so they have more reverence for a piece of bread than we do for like actual Jesus.
And Jesus.
And she was like, yeah, that's pretty backwards, huh? So, I mean, you don't have to use it, but it's there for you if you so desire.
No thoughts, Father Michael?
He said everything.
You may-
Wow.
And also,
Wow.
if you are at Mass on Sunday and you notice that some of the kneelers look different, it's because Father Michael made them. Good job, Father Michael.
we put some new kneelers up there. So people, despite my best efforts, cannot get it through their heads that double
here he
kneeler.
goes.
Here we
I know
go.
it's a pet peeve of mine. That double kneeler is two separate lines that can be used simultaneously, And people either will only come up if one person, or won't come up if a person's already there, or they get jammed up and then knock the person behind them backwards because they decided, oh, there's somebody up there, I need to go to the other way. It's just very confusing for people. I don't know why. So I thought instead of having one kneeler that's 2 people wide, we'd have 2 kneelers 1 people wide, so that there's no confusion about whether or not there's actually 2 lines there and whether or not you can approach at that same time, because your kneeler, your solo kneeler, is empty. So of course you can.
I think the more pressing problem of communion at Sinclair is the fact that people do not understand that they should walk behind the extraordinary minister when they leave the priest's line.
For the flanks? For the
That
left and right
drives
side?
me crazy. Crazy.
I think it's probably out of like some sense of reverence that they shouldn't go behind anything.
No, it's because Americans are afraid to be in each other's personal
well,
space.
that's true, yeah. And it's because we're descendants of the English, and, the English love to queue up. So...
Anyway.
I personally am grateful for the kneelers as somebody who never knelt to receive and has now started to. Having those kneelers there was something that was kind of encouraging for me
So great.
What made that transition for you?
just being here. Just being here and growing and learning more about the deeper richness of the faith that I had no clue about.
Has that intensified in any way your devotion to the Eucharist?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, absolutely it has. So I started kneeling and receiving on the tongue. So having those kneelers was like, it just was easier for me to just take that plunge.
Yeah.
That, and I took your guys' advice. I went and practiced one morning when no one was here.
Well, and the thing is, very few people, sadly, are able to kind of kneel down and get back up on their own anymore,
Right.
especially in an aging community. So having the kneelers is just a help for that.
It also just makes it, I feel like if you're a visitor, it makes it way less weird. Whenever I go to a parish where they don't have kneelers, it's like, am I allowed to receive
Well, I used to love to do that in the
kneeling
seminary.
here?
Go to parish that didn't, and then kneel to receive communion. And then the priest is like, stand up. We don't do that here.
Yeah, that happened to me in college.
Yeah.
That's very, I don't know. I don't
Like,
like
okay.
that. It was not great. Okay, next question. What do you think about clapping at the end of Mass? I've usually seen this happen with people specifically clapping for the musicians at Mass.
Don't do it, because the musicians aren't performing.
Yeah,
It's not a performance.
They're
It's prayer.
worshiping.
Yeah, so we shouldn't
Yeah.
like applaud them for worshiping. And really, like at St. Clair, we've got the musicians up front, which isn't where they belong. They should be in the back, up in a choir loft,
Which we don't have.
which we don't have. But when we build a church, we'll have, so that we're not like looking at them. It's not us supposed to be watching them perform.
Mm-hmm.
It's us supposed to be participating in the sacrifice of the Mass at the altar, and their song and their chant helps us to enter into that worship.
You could imagine the choir and the choir loft being like one of two things: either like the angelic voices sort of floating down from heaven, or even the waves of a tide that are sort of pouring out into the nave and pushing the people forward to the sanctuary, into the Holy of Holies. So it's a beautiful image that we've just destroyed by putting people up front where they feel compelled to perform. Same problem with turning the priest around so that he's looking at the people. It makes it seem like he's serving the people and he's doing a performance, when in fact he's united with the people, doing the same action with them as their head, leading towards the Father. And I've used the image before of we are all members, we are all the actors in a play that we're performing for God, who is the audience. The people in the nave are not the audience. So the people in the choir are not performing for the audience. The people in the choir, as members of the congregation, are performing to lead and assist the people in the congregation in the nave to do the work that the part of the play that they're meant to do, to unite themselves more perfectly with the priest, who together are doing a single action, right? So who are you clapping for? Nobody's been performing for you.
Yep.
So why don't you celebrate Mass ad Orientem then?
Because we'd get in trouble.
Oh, yeah. That's
Now,
right.
last week at the cathedral for the Chrism Mass, Father Michael and I practically were saying Mass ad Orientem because there were so many priests
you had
that
to
we were
face
like,
the altar.
we're standing like in the ambo looking at the altar.
Yeah.
It was, and I thought to myself, it's like, wow, this is so nice. It's not distracting because I'm not looking at the people, but I was a little distracted because I was looking at all the other priests.
I was looking at all the other priests
And
doing
and it
God
seemed-
only knows
and it
what.
seems like a lot of them didn't know what they were doing.
didn't know what they were doing.
Okay.
We are a true band of misfits, that's for sure.
This is a question from Charlie Schuler, who we all might know. What is the reasonable age to start dating? High school or is middle school acceptable?
35.
Charlie, you don't need an answer to this question. You're going to be a priest. What are you asking this question for?
My biggest thing, as long as it stays out of youth group. I hate youth group romances. I hate them.
But what better place to
hate 'em.
get a romance? My brother married his youth group crush, and it wasn't a school crush or anything. They actually went to different youth groups, and he started going to that youth group for her, and then they got married, and then now had 5 kids.
I've had 8 couples that met within my youth group that eventually
Why
went
do
on
you
to get
hate
married.
good things then?
I'm okay with the meeting in youth group because I hate love. If I can't have it, nobody can have it. No, I'm okay with.
Oh, Susan, that's so sad.
Susan.
So bad. I'm fine. But like, I'm okay with the meeting in youth group. But what I've seen is they date and then they break up and they're still in youth group.
Yeah, and then
you've got the drama and the sides getting
Makes
picked
cliques and
the pettiness, and it just like I'm okay with them meeting and being interested in each other. But I mean, they're gonna date. I'm not their parent. It's just it makes it more difficult in youth group.
Charlie, your brain chemistry is not fully done until you're 25. And when you turn 25, your preferences for a person change a little bit. Like it's gonna change. So what is the point of dating in middle school and high school? Like maybe
my gosh, what's wrong with you people?
I think that there's
word.
legitimately no good reason to date in high school unless
You're literally saying nobody should get married before they're 26.
no,
Or
I'm
really
not saying
27
that.
because they're just
I'm
going to
saying
meet
there's
people.
no good reason to date in high school if you are committing to avoiding the near occasion of sin.
So I think
that's fair.
I think
That was more clearly said than where you started, though.
Well, you wouldn't let me talk, so
No, because you sounded so weird.
yeah. So middle school, I don't know that you can really date in middle school. You're like kind of friends, and you're like, yeah, we're going out, but you don't really know what that means.
you have a girlfriend that you've never talked to.
And then high school, okay, maybe you can kind of start dating because you're like learning how to have a relationship with a member of the opposite sex. And again, as long as it's not a sinful relationship, then and then you get to college and looking for a spouse. That's the reason to date, is to look for a spouse. It's not to just have fun. As someone who dated and doesn't have a spouse that's not the church, it's a big waste of money. I wish I could have that high school money back.
Yeah, I would ask somebody, hey, make an argument for the age that you're going to date that doesn't include and seeks to avoid sin, right? So what age is it at which point you start to look for a spouse in a mature way that is not about occasions or actual sin? I think that might be the good, and that way people can make up their own mind. Am I ready to date yet, or am I just looking for a hookup?
Well, and another factor of that is something that I see a lot is the pressure that social media and society puts on people. That if you're in high school and no one's dated you, there's something wrong with you. And so that's a whole nother. Sometimes I see kids that are like, I want a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Not because they're necessarily wanting to look at marriage or anything like that. But yeah, it's like, okay, no one's going to think I'm this pathetic loser because I have somebody. And that's a whole nother level.
That's starting to happen younger and younger too,
Yes.
which is probably making the whole, although I've seen research though too, that suggests that people are actually dating less and less because of social media.
Yep.
And so there's this crisis of identity that says that if I don't have somebody, I'm nobody. But then because of social media, they're not meeting people and they're not having real meaningful relationships. So they spend a longer period of time with this identity crisis and no meaningful way to provide for it.
The dating world is horrible right now.
Yeah, I
It's
hear
horrible.
I hear that from young Catholics all the time. In their 20s, 30s, they're like, "There's not anything out there."
And of course there are, because there are lots of people saying that.
Yeah.
But there's no cultural vehicle, safe, responsible cultural vehicle to meet people and to give it. Plus, I think also people, we have this sort of professionalism in our mindset in our culture now, where it's like, people don't sing at mass because the professional choirs do that. People don't play pickup baseball anymore because I'd rather just watch the professionals do it. And I think people have an unrealistic high standard of what their spouse might be, and then they don't allow the deeper integrity of the person that they're seeing to come forward and augment their attraction to that person. And so it's very complicated. And I mean, I know that's kind of an erudite take on it, but I think it plays into the real world of how that kind of is happening.
Yeah. So for our older listeners, I think, church is a good place to maybe find someone. Maybe St. Clair isn't the best because we don't.
We're a little suburban.
We're too suburban, but
sorry, Susan, we're a desert here.
I know. Struggle's real for me.
Or like family or friends to refer people to you. Like, oh, hey, this is a good person, and people are afraid to do that now. Like,
I'm not afraid.
Afraid to play matchmaker. Like,
Should I
hey,
be
let me.
afraid?
Yeah.
But I'm a notorious matchmaker, unfortunately for me. I love making matches.
That seems like a conflict of interest because then you can be like, oh, by the way, now that you're getting married, I'm a wedding photographer. Yeah.
Yeah, wait
And
a
I'm
minute.
I'm the only Catholic wedding photographer in Atlanta, so therefore I can charge a premium.
That's a monopoly. We need to bust that up.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. We need to sell off parts of your business.
Can we wait till she matches me up with somebody and then break that up?
Listen,
speaking of matchmakers,
What?
I something that our culture really has wildly rejected is the idea that other people can contribute to finding somebody, but also this idea of like parents planning and kind of setting up conditions for a person to. What do they call them?
Arranged marriages?
Arranged marriages.
Yeah, I'm all for arranged marriages.
But we have
Says the man who doesn't have to participate.
Yes, this is a man who's never getting married.
Totally rejected this idea for the sake of the amore, the romantic love of a relationship. And this is why so many relationships fall apart too, because the romantic love part of a relationship doesn't last forever, right? It can be rekindled. It can be kind of kept going to a degree, but it changes in a very maturing way over time. And if you think I'm gonna meet this guy, and because of our common interests or because we're hot for each other, that this is gonna last us our whole life, right? It's gonna last us our whole life. You're making fun of me for saying.
I can't believe you just said hot for each other.
Said hot for me.
Is that too old to say, or
Yes.
is it? Well, I'm trying to be polite. There
Attract. There's a lot of options. and
there
you
are other
picked
ways. Yeah, okay.
hot
So
for each other. Like we're in the
Hey,
50s.
this
We're
is a-
headed to the suck
You're
up.
the
This
bee's
is
knees.
this is a family show,
this is a
everybody.
family show. I'm trying to keep it
We're
PG.
talking to Charlie.
Attracted to each other, but you picked hot for
Well,
each
no,
other.
because it's on multiple levels. I wanted to isolate the kind of attraction I was talking about to a particular,
Oh, no, you don't have to explain
particularly
yourself.
vain,
We got it.
shallow level. But anyway, so that doesn't last long because that doesn't last forever, right? And then the relationship starts to get strained, and they don't have that deeper sense. But like if you're like, no, you guys are gonna marry each other and you're gonna learn to love each other, and that sounds so weird to an American ear, but that makes for some really, really solid relationships.
To my dad, who may be listening to this, the answer is no. No.
I'm not gonna arrange that marriage.
No. He's going to go out and buy goats. I can feel it. So don't.
put a white flag outside the house.
A little dowry.
Daughter available.
Dollar available. No, I'm good.
All right.
All right, Charlie. Hopefully that answered your question.
Charlie, I hope that answers your question. Catherine Lawson wants to know what is, and Susan and I cannot weigh in on this, but what is your single most favorite thing about being a priest? Besides
You could try to
celebrating
guess
Mass?
what it is.
About being a priest?
Yeah.
I mean, the low hanging fruit is celebrating the sacraments, doing
Yeah.
stuff like
Well, she
confession.
excluded
she says
mass
not
in
mass.
particular.
She said
Yeah.
not mass. I think for Father Michael, it's confession. And I think for Father Tim,
I think we're playing an episode of Yes or No is what we're doing.
the prestige.
Prestige. Prestige.
Okay.
Clericalism. Wait, Susan, this is a good idea. What do you think, Susan?
For you guys, like, I definitely think confession, reconciliation for you, because you've spoken about it and you've been very passionate about it. I think for Father Tim, it's, I don't know, maybe something along the lines of developing the community and seeing it like a body of people within a church grow and seeing things foster and stuff like that, and being able to do that as the priest, as the head shepherd, maybe.
Community fruits of
Nicole,
labor.
do you have a
Yeah,
real
maybe.
answer?
I think that was a real answer.
I think you're. It's the beauty of celebrating. No, that's the,
Don't say the word.
I can't say that.
You could say the beauty of the liturgy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the church is
Yeah.
incredibly beautiful.
I'll say probably it is also confession, but I'm gonna put that with kind of the mass.
You can't say the mass.
Right? No, I know. That's why I'm putting confession kind of with the mass. So like, let's just
Exclude those.
Yeah, let's exclude the sacraments. And yeah, I think
Which is funny because if you exclude the sacraments, you've utterly hollowed out the meaning of the priesthood.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah.
But yeah, kind of bringing, like Susan said, bringing the body together. Catherine, especially, I love, interacting with the kids and, especially the little toddlers that you've got and sitting down on the floor with them and, asking them funny questions, asking Teresa what her little sister stole this morning, asking, that other one, what's your other daughter's name?
Stella?
Oh yeah, Stella. Asking
my
Stella,
God.
like, or telling her she should hide something in her toy microwave when she gets home.
I was going to say teaching, and that is essentially teaching, isn't it?
That's deceiving.
teaching bad things. But
So mine actually is a bit different. I actually really love the relationship that I have with Jesus as a priest. That's my favorite thing. And it enables me to say Mass. It enables me to celebrate the sacraments. But I'm a priest forever, right? Marriage lasts through life for the sake of life. My identity as a human man has changed in being made a priest of Jesus to be made like him into eternity. I share his headship. I share a unique relationship with him that allows me to be called father by the church, husband by the church, and son of the Father in a unique way. And I just love thinking about that, right? And that really kind of, and that kind of inspires and gives direction to why I celebrate or want to celebrate. Like I want to be, I'm not, and I don't do everything well. But I want to do everything well. I want to be a really good priest because of that, the meaning of that relationship.
what a great answer.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Did you know that obviously we know there's no marriage in heaven, but there is priesthood.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. I'm just making sure you know that.
You've told me that
Okay.
before.
Just rubbing that right down in.
Yeah, I mean, we're just gonna be friends up there in heaven, apparently.
The unity in heaven, is still a spousal unity, but it's a spousal unity with Christ as the spouse, and the unity of individuals, including people who in this world were spouses in this life, will be united as a single body, the bride to Christ. I'm trying to.
He's trying to cheer you up after
No,
I
I know. I'm not.
after I
sad
hit you
about
with a
it.
downer.
What the hell's wrong with that?
Nothing.
What the hell's wrong with talking about
It's
heaven?
just so. All right. Now everyone's favorite part of the show, the one thing.
I hope you can turn it up.
You're ridiculous.
I
We need a
think-
new producer. Listen, this is just a call out to anybody out there listening. If you are or happen to know a good producer, even a moderately okay producer,
No, send us an email. Tell Father Michael he's freaking wrong. Okay, I think this is gonna be our last one thing of the season because I don't think there's any way in heaven that we will be able to give a
we
one
may
thing.
be in heaven at that point.
My one thing next week will be being done.
Tums. Yeah, next week's one thing is Tums.
So this will be our last one for this season. If you like this segment of the show, which I personally do, just tell us in an email so that when I bring it back next season, that Father Tim and Father Michael don't give me a hard time.
But I do hear that
love
people.
the season.
I
You
do
like
hear
it.
that people look at the stuff that we say and
And
the
then
stuff
probably
that you
judge
link.
us. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive.
Well, that's your fault for having expensive taste. What's your one thing this week, Father Tim?
Gold, pure
yeah.
gold ingots.
My one thing this week is this little USB dongle that I bought that I can plug into my truck that allows my phone to connect to Android Auto
He said
automatically.
dongle.
And also
the green envy is just oozing.
And also my little phone stand that I have fell off. And I haven't cleaned the suction cup to try to put it back on. Every time I tried to put it back on,
So
it
it's
falls.
easier to
So
buy
do
a
you-
dongle than clean the suction
Do you
cup.
have a screen in your truck that
Yeah.
does the Android thing?
Yeah, and so now I can watch YouTube on the
Oh
screen in my
my
truck while I'm
gosh.
driving down the interstate. It's great.
A lady was doing that when I drove to work this morning, and I was
The
like,
police
"What
do
is
it with their
wrong
laptop.
With you?"
Imagine, but they're sitting parked. Imagine how
called
terrifying it is when
multitasking.
you're riding on a motorcycle and you're creeping up alongside of somebody who's clearly
Yeah.
on their phone and not paying attention to the road and might just change lanes at any moment.
Do you ever feel angry at the motorcycles that split lanes going 98 miles an hour
Yes.
on highways because it makes
Yes.
people hate all
No,
motorcycles?
but it's also it's dangerous for
mean,
the
yes.
drivers. It's dangerous for the motorcyclist, and it gives a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that sitting on 120-degree blacktop in the summer, 12 cars back at a traffic light, the reason I'm prevented from being able to functionally filter to the front and get ahead of all the traffic without interrupting any other traffic is because of jerks who fly 90 miles an hour down the road on one wheel, splitting lanes on the interstate. That's why. And yes, I get very upset about
Is that your one thing?
that is my one thing. Lane splitting. Lane splitting is my one thing. We should bring it to the Colorado's experimenting with it. California can do it.
This is a topic for another day.
So my one thing, my actual one thing. I'm going to go with Red Wing boots.
Oh,
So Red Wing boots are really good. Really good. Stop it. That was the most insincere look of feigned
know.
interest I've ever seen.
I'm sorry.
You know I hate this, and I don't have one things.
It's just funny because we talked about it earlier. Anyway, keep talking.
Oh, I wish the cameras were on right now.
Guys, we really struggle with our producer.
Nicole's
We
like
don't
putting
always
her
agree.
head into her sweatshirt like a turtle,
Oh my gosh! But a red
trying to
turtle.
hide.
It was so sassy by me. What do you love about the Red Wing boots?
The quality.
Do they? Is this the one that has a lifetime guarantee or no?
I don't know if they. I'm sure they have lifetime guarantees, but they can be resold.
Okay,
so
that's what
they're
it is.
really high
Yeah.
quality leather. They're constructed well, and if you get certain ones, like if you get the handmade ones, they can, and probably some others, they can be resold. So what you're doing is you're paying a lot of money for a really premium boot that looks like a premium boot, but then you'll never have to buy another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're what is it? Pay once, cry once, or buy once, cry once is kind of what is the phrase. Yeah, you're going to pay a lot of money up front, but you're not going to have to buy another pair of shoes every year or another pair of boots every 2-3 years. At worst, if you wear them a lot, you're going to resole them every 5 or 7 years. And then you got the same pair of boots, so you don't have to break in again.
So if somebody wants to buy one of these as a gift, do you find that they run true to size, or should they?
It depends. That's a great question.
Don't they have one of those like laser measures at the store?
I would get somebody a gift card and then let them go into the store and get fitted, because you're buying, especially if you're buying the handmade pair, which sounds way more pretentious than it actually is. But if you're going to invest that much money into a pair of shoes, any kind of shoes, I would let the person go there and get them themselves.
Great, Susan. Do you have a one thing?
I do. This week it would be I think they're JBL noise canceling headphones. So and they're not too
Earbuds
too
or
pricey.
over the ears?
No, over the ears.
Over the ears.
So I'm down to one left contact. And so I'm babying it until my new ones come in. So when I go to the gym and weight lift, I wear the contact. But when I do cardio, I take it out and just wear my glasses. So I'm trying to make it last. And when you work out with glasses, sometimes there's all kinds of issues that come from it. But these headphones,
Steam, fog.
they
fall down your nose.
Oh, it's horrible.
Fall
It's
off. You
horrible.
walk on them.
It's
Father Tim
terrible.
doesn't know about this because he doesn't work out.
Yeah,
but,
I'm-
I used to, and I would take my glasses off because it would get all gross. And
They're horrible. But when I do cardio, it's okay. But these headphones, they don't push the temple, the
arms?
the pieces, temple pieces or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't push into my head, and it doesn't rub on the back of my ear. So when I put them on, it fits right, so I can do my cardio and wear my glasses.
Very nice.
do you find that when you're like deadlifting, like they don't fall off your head?
Well, no. So like when I actually weightlift, I have little earbuds that I use. I don't use those for working out,
They work
like for
great
weightlifting. No,
Good
I use
cardio.
my little earbuds, but they're great for cardio.
Nice.
The problem with earbuds with cardio for me is that they don't stay in,
And that's why I have
you're
the noise
bouncing up and
canceling.
down with running or whatever, and they just don't stay in my ears. I don't know how people get them to stay in their ears, honestly.
I don't use those. I don't use
Double-sided
those
tape, I
for.
think.
I only use those.
that's why they come with multiple little like rubber.
Yeah, my ear is somewhere in
Thanks.
between both of those things.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't work.
My one thing is pickleball. I love.
Ugh.
It's not been pickleball.
Such a boomer.
Ooh, where's the
I
wah wah
love-
wah?
No, I'm not
Yeah.
playing
Yeah, do
it.
that
It's
one. Oh, boo.
Pickleball is so great because it's the perfect blend of
Lazy and
no, it's not
non-active.
lazy. It's super. You have to be super active, but also the pickleball community is really nice. So, and
I disagree. The
you
pickleball
ever
community
played
is
pickleball?
cliquish and cultish.
you like me. I'm your friend.
Pickleball community.
I think that the pickleball.
Everyone who plays pickleball, like if you go to a pickleball court and people are playing, like they're immediately like, "Hey, how long have you been playing? Come join our game." Like it's really friendly.
because they've finally found a weirdo they can associate
It is
with.
the fastest growing sport in America.
That's because
And,
there's a lot of
well,
pineapple
because
people in
Americans
there.
can't play sports anymore.
Well, it's people who suck at hitting the table at table tennis, and they're like, let's just get rid of the table. We'll just
Susan, you're gonna come play pickleball with me, so stop hating.
okay.
But I think it's super fun, and if you want friends or you want to meet people,
want friends.
pickleball is a great way. And also, young people are finding spouses at pickleball now because that's where the young people go to play.
I can get on board with that.
We're talking about dating. Go play pickleball and meet somebody, especially in Atlanta.
Make sure they're single though.
That's the single people play pickleball. All right, we'll link all of these things in our show notes so that you can find them. I don't know how I'm gonna link pickleball, but I'll figure it out.
Why don't you link the league that you play in?
Because it's exclusive.
Yeah, so it is cliquish.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
You have to pay a membership for it, but I will link the park that I play at. That's really nice and friendly. So, thanks for listening, Susan. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun. I
Was
thoroughly
it?
enjoyed
It
it.
was
I
great
did.
having you on.
It was
She's
fun.
a good ad.
I want to sing Susan's praises here just for a minute. She's been a fantastic youth minister, and she's great to have her on the office. Really dynamic and just a lovely person. So if you are in middle school or high school and haven't been coming to the youth group, man, you're missing out.
Yeah,
And
you should make it a priority.
if you're a parent with that number of kids, send them Susan's way. She's doing good things,
you.
and the kids love her.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you don't
Appreciate
know
it.
Susan, you should just say hi to her because she's fun.
I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
You're great.
I have
Susan
no
has been a
problem talking to you.
fantastic ad, with the one exception that she is a volunteer fan.
Go Vols. Rocky Top. Rocky Top.
Listen, guys, listen, everybody. Make sure you follow us. Guys, follow us, subscribe,
Yep.
share the Truth Unplugged wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with your friends. If you enjoyed today's episode and these particular shenanigans, leave us a 5-star review. If you didn't like it, leave us a 5-star review. And if you're anywhere in between, 5-star review.
And hey, let's hope we go viral just like we did with that Palm Cross video.
How about
A million
that?
plus
That's
views.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
true. That's fun. So we'll catch you next week.
Yep,
for
I can't wait.
A little wing episode.
And you'll
gonna be
and you'll
great.
actually get to see our studio. You'll get to see where we do this this podcast magic.
You'll get to see what we look like. That's,
Bye!
Yeah.
it's not time yet. Thanks for listening. This is the end.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye!